Good evening. More and more young Londoners are suffering severe allergic reactions, and the message we have tonight from campaigners and doctors is that a lot more needs to be done to protect them. The number of children under the age of 10 admitted to emergency departments in our city because of their allergies has trebled in the last 5 years. The NHS figures were given to the charity set up by the family of Natasha Ednan Laperouse, who died after an allergic reaction to a pret-a-manger sandwich. They are determined to make every school have an allergy policy by law. They spoke to Chloe Keedy.
It could have one allergen, it could have several.
Yeah. Tanya and Nadim Ednan Laperouse are on a mission to make schools safer. Staff at Queen's Manor Primary in Fulham have their own allergy action plan, but not all schools are like this one.
The training of kitchen staff in all schools is vital because the children are becoming more and more allergic, food allergy in particular, and it's a matter of life and death for so many children.
Their daughter Natasha had severe food allergies that they say weren't always taken seriously at school.
Her life was put at risk a number of times. Quite often it was from the adults, the teaching staff, and sometimes from parents who didn't really understand the severity of her allergies and didn't want to really understand, I think, is what we felt. And sometimes children.
Natasha died after having an allergic reaction to a pret-a-manger baguette. Tanya and Nadim fought successfully to change the law on food labelling. They're now calling for allergy policy to be a legal requirement in schools.
We've heard from so many families who literally fear for their children every single day that they go to school.
You know, schools have to deal with so many different policies and they have to work it out themselves, and that's actually really, really stressful.
They need to have a gold standard to follow so that they know they're doing the right thing in safeguarding their children.
Figures they've obtained from NHS Digital show that the number of children below 10 being treated for food allergies in hospital has tripled in the past 5 years, while the number of 11 to 18-year-olds receiving treatment has more than doubled.
So do you understand about allergies?
Tanya and Nadim want training not just for staff, but also lessons for children. Would you like to learn more about allergies?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because if one of my friends or a member of family have an allergic reaction, I can help them out.
Would you know what to do now if that happened?
Probably not, because we haven't had any education on allergies in our class.
But everyone should know it, because in any situation someone could have an allergy attack.
For every child in the school who has an EpiPen, we actually keep 2.
They're hoping this school will help test out their allergy policy as part of a pilot scheme in Hammersmith and Fulham.
It would be hugely reassuring, I think, for all members of the school community, for parents whose children are here all day, and for the staff who work with the children in class across lunchtime. I think it would be very reassuring that we're all meeting the same standards.
The government says it's up to individual schools to make their own policies. But Tanya and Nadim say there must be a national standard to keep children safe. Chloe Keedy, ITV News, Fulham.
Well, we're joined now from his surgery by Professor Adam Fox, who's the president of the British Society of Allergy and Clinical Immunology. Adam, we were seeing there the work Natasha's mum and dad are doing in schools. There's an essential job to be done in the education system, isn't there?
There is. Schools are a really important part of the solution here. It's incredibly important that people feel that they can send their children to school safe in the knowledge that they understand how to manage their food allergies. But I think whilst the policy is incredibly important and it's clearly going to be better if there's national standards, really what we need is a change in culture. We need schools to really understand what it's like for people and families and children with food allergies, to understand the importance of risk assessments, to ensure that they have inclusivity really throughout all of their activities, that kids with food allergies aren't discouraged to take part in certain activities because of their allergies, but instead are ways found to include them safely.
Why are there more children with allergies than there used to be?
There certainly does seem to have been a big change over the course of 20 or 30 years. I think many people from my generation will remember that when they were at school there were very few people with food allergies, and now something in the order of 5 or 6% of UK children suffer from a food allergy. The truth is we don't really understand why. There's previous theories around being a little bit too clean and that encouraging more allergies to happen, but we've moved on from that, and I think we now understand that a lot is to do with the bacteria that colonise our gut, what we call the microbiome. There's been a whole range of things that have changed this over the last 20 or 30 years. So, for example, being born in hospital, less breastfeeding, the way that we wean our children, a whole range of things have influenced that, and that seems to be making us more allergic.
And a big increase also in the number of these severe reactions.
Yeah, there's been a really striking increase in the number of severe reactions, and when you drill down into those figures, it's clear that what's driving that is younger people, children with food allergies, as opposed to there being a rise in allergies to medications, for example, or latex or insect stings. And it's something that's been found across the world. We're seeing this in the US, we're seeing it in Australia, and it's certainly very marked in London.
How can we make things better?
I think there's a whole range of things really that need to happen. Policies in schools is certainly an important part of it. I think we need much better NHS service provision would be really, really helpful. There needs to be much more education, and that's at every level. That's for the GPs, who are very much the first line around this, for the retail and catering community, so they can better understand what it means when somebody comes in and says they have a life-threatening allergy. And then I think for everybody in general, just understanding the importance of ensuring that somebody having a severe reaction is treated as urgently as possible with adrenaline, so their adrenaline auto-injector.
And very briefly, Adam, it's very easy for parents to get paranoid for obvious reasons. How worried should they be?
Well, only a minority of children, only around 5 or 6% of kids will have a food allergy, and they're typically children who have a history of allergic issues, so for example eczema. So if you've got concerns that your child may have had a reaction, of course it makes sense to ensure that they go and see their GP, that you get a proper diagnosis. But it's also important to remember that even amongst those who have food allergy, thankfully severe reactions are extremely rare, and fatal reactions are incredibly rare, but of course even one fatal reaction is one too many.
Professor Adam Fox, thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us.